I think I tend to side myself with David Buckingham, open proceedings, the grumpy old man thing, and I'm sometimes even grumpier than David. I don't have any arguments with what he says, but I think there's a kind of disjunction, and it's reflected a bit in this conference, between skeptics like myself about technology is good but it's got constraints, it's got limitations, and the euphoria about technology will solve everything. Just throw equipment at students and, as I've suggested, they'll make something wonderful. My problem with that is it's still really technology is still about telling stories and creating ideas and getting people to think. A lot of 17, 18-year-olds haven't had a life experience to enable them to create anything. There's really many exceptions, but a lot of them don't have a life experience to create anything that's of interest or importance beyond their own subjectivity. So technology is fine, but you've got to have something to say with your technology.
In terms of kids tapping into technology, I think at the high school level, I think there's, even though we've been told that they're, native learners and those sort of things, they learn it on a very basic level. I think it's really important that as educators that we show them different ways of using new technology, and not just as in terms of Facebook, I'm Facebooking my friends, but the literacy of social media and understanding the other ways that we can use it in the classroom, and kids get to learn that, because there's a huge gap between high school and university or tertiary education, and the educators in the tertiary level are really complaining about that kids don't have the understanding of the use of social media and how they can use some of these Web 2.0 tools, such as blogging and uploading and changing their content and those sort of aspects. Also on Facebook, the idea of creating your own groups, that you can have your own groups in a Facebook environment for a specific area, and connecting with those people. So there's a lot of things that I think teachers think kids know, but in reality I think they're a long way away from being there. The one aspect that I have a real problem with is that we are in a social media world, a Web 2.0 world, and we are controlling, or the education department or the general society are controlling what kids can use within the educational institution itself. It's a place where it's meant to be a safe environment for children, yet we're not allowing them to explore this with us standing with them or being with them and helping them understand what they're seeing and educating them and teaching them the rights from the wrongs or the wrongs from the rights. So whilst we have this ban on various aspects of social media, we're not educating our children, we're actually persecuting them. And we should be there educating and helping them look at all the variety of different types of media outlets that are out there and educate them to become a better critical analysis, a critical understanding of what's in the media today.
What we're interested in, particularly from Screenfutures, is having a dialogue with teachers, finding out how they're using their programs, because often what happens with the screenwrites license is we have this license for educators, they pay their license fee and they can copy whatever they like at any time, they can copy it anywhere they like in terms of being at home or through their media resources at the school or university or TAFE. But what we don't know is how they're using it in the classroom, what subject areas they're using particular programs for, and how they're incorporating into the materials and making it relevant to kids. And that's something that we'd really love to hear more about from educators, and certainly the members and filmmakers are very interested in how their programs are being used.
I use it very differently. I use it as an aid to my teaching and learning. For example, last semester I used an episode of Buffy for representation, so it's a matter of breaking down those elements of that show, production elements, story elements, and looking at the way the codes and conventions have been used, connotations and denotations in that text to make that representation so that the kids can actually engage in it in very different ways, particularly the production elements, how sound is being used to make the meaning, how the different visual composition and mise-en-scenes and things like that has actually been used to tell the story. So, and I think media teachers are a little bit more attuned to using media text in that way than some other teachers at school are, but yeah.
How do you decide what programs to use in the classroom?
How do I decide? I guess, you know, I've always thought that, you know, teaching media is probably in some ways a little self-indulgent for me, because I know what I look for in the media text, and yeah, I can use my own sort of nerdiness to make a decision as to what texts I use and what I like and things like that. But really it's got to go beyond that as well. What actual productions, good and bad, have got use the different sound elements and production elements in order to tell the story, and also looking at what effects it has on the audience as well. So those sorts of things really got to make a stand. So for example, the SBS has just done the series on Who Do You Think You Are, on the on reversing the story of, you know, refugees and boat people into Australia, and a lot of people are lauding it, saying yes, fantastic things, but more people should be seeing it, so to change people's attitudes. But a lot of people also need to step back and realise it wasn't in itself a constructed media text, and you've got to look at what the agenda behind it was, because a lot of the editing and things like that is still going to be questioned, I think.
We screen a lot of films. We have a cinema studies course, so we screen films within that. We use the past work of students as a key component as well, which has a profound effect, because we had a recent batch of fantastic music videos made by a current crop of second year students working with our music industry students. So the whole piece, the composition, the recording of the music, and then the filming and the scripting and the making of the music video was all done by students within the institute. And next semester, next year when I have a similar cohort of second year students, showing those resources will be a key part of that course, because it shows them where the bar is. You know, it sort of says this is what's capable, this is what's possible, and it's part of the reason why every year we seem to get better work than we got the year before, because I think they've seen where the bar is, and they know that, well, they can't shoot lower than that, they've got to shoot higher than it. So and that's becoming an increasing resource for us, actually. You know, we record our best films onto DVD and they're borrowed out through the library, and now we have an online learning repository, so we can now actually digitise these student films and have them available on demand by our students anywhere in the world. So I think that's going to become a key element of our teaching from now on.